Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Chronicles of Enigma. Please like, subscribe, and share as always. Today we have part 2 of a 10-part series on unveiling the subterranean mysteries of Agartha and other underground realms. In the previous episode of Chronicles of Enigma, we went over a few examples of the many ancient cultures that have myths of civilizations within the Earth. The subject is widely dispersed throughout the planet and time, but there has never been any physical proof brought forward. Investigating this topic led me to many different opinions. Some scholars believe that these were stories just created for lessons to be taught, and others believe that there's a real destination that has yet to be discovered.
Because technically, it hasn't been discovered yet.
I will be mentioning different myths from around various cultures, and where they might not be identical, they all have the same similar core belief that a civilization exists within the Earth.
Same, but different.
Alexandre Saint-Yves was a philosopher and occultist who paved the foundation of French historic tradition in the 19th century. He learned ancient Hebrew for his breakthrough work, Mission of the Jews, and in 1885 hired a teacher to learn Sanskrit through a mutual acquaintance. The teacher was a man who went by Prince Hardjji Scharipf. He was an exotic bird dealer and self-proclaimed professor of Oriental languages. He claimed to have moved to France 28 years prior, after the Indian Rebellion. Trying to investigate his past is cloudy. It appears he was truly from Afghanistan and used an alias. Alexander took manuscripts of their lessons and published them, but after receiving threats, he did his best to recover every copy he sold. Luckily, a copy survived and one can be viewed at the Library of Sorbonne. The lessons are evidence that Hardjji was indeed well versed in Sanskrit and most likely highly educated. Hardjji teased Saint-Yves with crumbs of clues about Agartha. The more the student would ask, the more vague the professor's answers were. Saint-Yves had several books of notes from their many sessions together. Agartha is mentioned many times. According to Hardjji's lessons, Agartha was guarded by a spiritual and physical godlike being referred to as Master of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe!
As part of his lessons, Saint-Yves was taught a secret 22-letter script known as Vitinian. Hardjji told him that it dated back to the very beginning of civilization, precisely 51,900 BC, after the confusion of tongues. It had been kept solely in the protected libraries of Agartha ever since. Hardjji exhibited the ability to write this unfamiliar language with the same fluency and elegance as he did with French and Sanskrit. When Saint-Yves was done with his tutoring, he compiled his notes into a book, Mission of India in Europe, Mission of Europe in Asia. This was the first time anyone in the Western world had heard of Agartha. An interesting fact, regardless if you believe the fable of Agartha or not, is that Saint-Yves accurately described fiber optics a full century before their invention. He wrote in his book, Electrical pathways not made of steel but of flexible glass, which do not imprudently deplete the carbon reserves of the planet, nor saddle it with an iron framework, no less conductive to the spread of some cosmic plagues. Saint-Yves believed the entrance to the underground realm was hidden in the Himalayas. It was at this point in my research that I asked myself, what happened in 52,000 BC that would have caused the confusion of tongues? According to a paper by Dr. Hannah Ritchie from the University of Oxford, between 52,000 and 9,000 BC, more than 178 species of the world's largest mammals were killed off. If there was a superior advanced culture on the surface that knew about this and did not want to be affected by it, moving underground seems logical. If they were more advanced than the surrounding Earthlings, they may have the technology to adapt to underground living.
The city, nice and safe underground.
In 1948, a French journalist, Jean Reyor, wrote about Saint-Yves through one of his Hindu priest informants. He was told that Saint-Yves was selected by the Agarthians to spread the word of Agartha and its ethics. They told Reyor about another teacher who counseled Saint-Yves beyond Scharipf. The same notebook ties Vatinian alphabet to Sanskrit and other Hebrew root words. Secret teaching of the Brahmins communicated to me by the Rishi Bhagwandi's Rajin Shirn. Within a few lessons, the advanced professor discovered Saint-Yves to be unworthy of the gift of Agarthian knowledge and ordered Hardjji to stop teaching him immediately. This left Saint-Yves with just enough education to know what he didn't know, and he spent the rest of his life searching. He would continue to talk to friends and colleagues about Agartha and publish more literature, but he never was able to visit or meet anyone from the Agarthian descent again. Some quotes from Saint-Yves that have stuck throughout the decades regarding Agartha. Agartha will be accessible for all mankind when Christianity lives up to the commandments which were once drafted by Moses and God. He stated that it would eventually be necessary for India to be converted to a Christian and Catholic order. This proves Saint-Yves was not ready. Saint-Yves' work might have gone unnoticed if it wasn't for Dr. Ferdynand Ossendowski. 36 years after A Mission of India was published, Dr. Ossendowski embarked on an adventure throughout Mongolia. He encountered many mysterious things and heard myths and tales from his guides about the local folklore. He would often stop and interview Buddhist monks and lamas about tunnels and caves in the area. Several separate sources were quoted as calling the mythical destination as the Kingdom of Agartha, which he considered the mystery of all mysteries. Dr. Ossendowski and Saint-Yves shared many similarities in their accounts of a hidden, subterranean kingdom called Agartha. Both authors described a triple spiritual authority, which are slightly differently spelt, as you can see on the screen.
A coincidence. A pretty big coincidence, actually.
Dr. Ossendowski learned about something that eerily resembles nuclear propulsion in atomic bombs in 1920, which he would write about in his book, Beasts, Men, and Gods, published in 1922. Some critics have claimed that Ossendowski to be a fraud. I have to disagree. He kept a daily journal and brought back many physical artifacts from his trip. Ossendowski was also investigated by a top scholar at the time, René Guénon. He said in reference to his investigation, he was affirmed to us that he had never read Saint-Yves, whose name even was unknown to him before the French translation of his book, and for our part, we have no reason to doubt his sincerity. Guénon went a step further to collaborate with Eastern colleagues, which later led to his book, The King of the World. After the book was published, René was quoted as saying, "Independently of the evidence offered by Ossendowski, we know through other sources that stories of this kind are widely and currently in Mongolia and throughout Central Asia, and we can add that there are something similar in traditions of most people." Guénon's own personal research led him to hear tales of an intricate network of subterranean tunnels. They are home to a prehistoric group of people that chose to live separately in advanced technology and spiritually superior from the surface dwellers. René ponders if this fable is one of fact or fiction. He uses the Vajrayana from Buddhism as an example. A Vajrayana is a Sanskrit word for thunderbolt vehicle or diamond vehicle. He proposes that this may be the same technology that the Agarthians possess.
Yeah, it's Sanskrit.
12 years prior to St. Ives ever taking Sanskrit lessons, a French writer by the name of Louis Jacolliot wrote a book in 1873. Son of God, which describes the author's trip into India in the Sanskrit text he was shown. He recounted his meeting with a group of Hindu Brahmins in Central Asia, who told him the tale of Agartha, a 15,000-year-old city that was the origin of the Aryan civilization. Jacolliot was quoted as referring to Agartha as the underground kingdom. Some researchers tied the French philosopher and theologian Ernest Renan to Agartha's mystery. In 1871, he described Asgard, the city of the gods from Norse mythology, as being located in Central Asia. Although not the same spelling of the name, the core of the story is very similar. Hidden world, godlike people, protected by a gatekeeper, etc.
Different label, same product.
The Smoky God is a novel written by Willis George Emerson and published in 1908. The book presents itself as a narrative of a Norwegian sailor's extraordinary voyage to the Earth's interior, specifically the hollow center of the Earth. The protagonist, Olaf Jansen, and his father embark on a remarkable journey through a polar opening and discover a subterranean world inhabited by an advanced civilization of giants and other strange phenomenon. The book blends elements of science fiction, adventure, and exploration, offering readers a unique and imaginative account of a hidden world beneath the Earth's surface. Some people feel the book is true, while most others remark there has never been any physical proof.
I give you the legendary lost city of Atlantis.
While reading on the subject of Agartha, it was natural to find a lot of people tying Atlantis to it, but I truly believe that Atlantis has its own adventure tied to it. Due to the aforementioned authors, none of which were associated, all separately coming to the same similar conclusion, we can conclude that this tale was not concocted by Western occultists.
I think readers will come to the same conclusion I did.
In part 3, we will be taking a look at examples of other underground civilizations throughout history. In part 4, we get really exciting. We talk about expeditions and reports of supernatural activity in the area surrounding the supposed entrances to Agartha. In part 5, we'll be discussing Shambhala and how it closely relates to almost everything Agartha. In part 6, we'll be discussing everything we couldn't reach in video number 5 regarding Shambhala's legacy. In part 7, we'll be taking a look at historical underground realms besides Agartha to see if there's any connection. In part 8, we will be discussing cultures with reptilian humanoid myths, which closely attach to the Agartha myth. Because the myth of Agartha is so old, there's a lot of locations mentioned to be the possible entrances. We'll be discussing them in part 9. In part 10, the last segment, I'll be going over my conclusions to let you guys know what I really think happened here. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share.